Hello and welcome. I am Zombie Kitty and today I'm going to be reacting to another subscriber request. This was from Katili Nom. I apologise if I pronounced your name wrong, but they requested, I think it was a week or two ago, that I react to Markiplier's video called Pain. As I've said before, I'm not subscribed to him, so I have no idea what this is. This was uploaded, sorry, on the 29th of August. So not very long ago, it's not a very old video. I haven't looked at the episode description for it, so I don't know what this is, because I don't want to end up having any sort of prejudgment, or, you know, I don't really want any idea of what this is beforehand. I just want to go into this as genuine as possible. Also, this is a really long video, so I will say thank you to Katili Nom for requesting this. As I've said in the last video, I really appreciate that you guys are now asking me to react to videos, because it shows that you like the content, and you know, that means a lot to me. Okay, let's do this, because this video is like half an hour long, so here we go.
What is the worst pain that you've ever been in your life? Like, honestly ask yourself, what is the worst pain that you've ever been in your life? Everyone's been through pain, like of some degree, some level. Like, no one has had the worst pain, because there's always someone that, like the people in the medieval ages when they've been in the Iron Maiden for 30 days, or the cow thing where they get boiled alive. The worst physical pain I've ever been in my life was after my surgery. And then to manage my pain, they had me in an epidural. What an epidural is, it's a tap directly into your spinal column at a certain vertebra that injects painkiller and anesthesia directly into your spinal column. So it makes everything from that point down numb, so you can't feel a lot of it. So I had an epidural to manage that pain, but it was like, it wasn't enough, number one, right off the bat. And then number two, it was making my legs numb, so I couldn't walk. And that was a big problem, so I couldn't move at all. I was like, this is weird, but okay, I'll deal with it. I was gonna be bedridden for like 2 weeks anyway in the hospital. Basically, the nurse and the doctors were like, we'll change this up. Like, we want you to like be able to walk and stuff. So they changed my pain medication in the epidural to something different, because it's just like a big bag in a machine that slowly injects it over time. So they were going to change it so it increased the painkiller and decreased the anesthesia, but there was a mistake in the pharmacy, and they decreased the anesthesia and decreased the painkiller. So when they brought me the new bag, I was on no numbing agent and no painkiller. It was like basically a saline drip into my spine. And so I started telling the doctors that I was in a lot of pain, like a lot of pain. And nurses and doctors would keep coming in, and they would look at the machine and they'd be like, no, it's fine, look, it's fine. You've got no problems with it, it's totally fine. It's giving you medicine at the rate that we want it to give you, and there's no issues with it. So what it came down to was I started more and more just being like, docs, nurse, I am in incredible, unbelievable pain. I have just a huge gash in my abdomen that's not being medicated at all. It's like I got stabbed with a 6-inch sword. It really fucking hurts. And no one would believe me. No one. Not like the nurses that I was with. They kind of believed me. They kept going to the doctors, but the doctors did not believe me. And it got to the worst point where a doctor actually came in the room. He was obviously pissed off and just like, duh, this guy's just trying to get more pain medication. And he comes in, and I'm lying in the bed. You know, I'm just in agony. And he comes up to me and he just grabs, like full on grabs with his hand into my incision. My incision is from here to here. Like that line, that's the incision.
Why would you do that?
Around it, and he starts feeling for bleeding, because he's like, maybe there's bleeding, and he's feeling around, and he just grabs onto it, and I just start screaming. Like, just screaming in agony, because it is the most painful thing. And he gives me the most like derogatory look I've ever seen, and I'm just like, I'm weeping tears. It is just the most agonizing thing. He didn't do it out of maliciousness. No, he did it because he was checking for bleeding, obviously. So he was grabbing to feel as if the incision was out, like he was palpating just to see if there was something wrong with it. And he might have been doing it aggressively, but then again, anything that he would have done would have been incredibly painful. And so afterwards, he left the room. He ordered that I needed to have Valium. because he didn't want to give me more painkillers, but he wanted to give me Valium to like relax me and put me to sleep and just like knock me out. So for those of you who know, when I was doing drunk Minecraft, sometimes when I would get drunk and my face would flush like with blood, I would get this splotchy mark on my neck, like right here.
Okay.
And that's because that's a scar. When they gave me Valium,
I don't remember
they
the
wanted me
drunk
to knock
Minecraft
me out,
series,
but I
to
also
be
had a
honest.
central line in my neck, an arterial line in my neck. And what that is it's a line that ties in directly to your artery, so it can measure your heart rate, blood pressure, and probably other things that I don't know about. But when I was on Valium, and I don't remember doing this at all, I was so out of it that I dug into my neck. I literally clawed and pulled and scratched and scraped my neck until I pulled the central line out of my neck. And so I started bleeding incredibly, and then they rushed in, they fixed me. I don't remember any of this, by the way. I don't remember a thing of this. I don't remember doing it. I don't remember feeling it. I don't remember hurting. All I remember is that, like, when I finally came to, I had a huge, like, splotchy mark on my neck, and
The trauma would have...
because I wasn't supposed to do that. So
your brain would have gone
around
into
that
trauma
time,
and would have made you forget.
Like, I was off the
Trauma can
I
do
faded out of the Valium.
interesting
Ooh, shit! I was off the Valium, and it was like 3 or something in the morning. I was at my wit's end because it had been almost 24 hours that I was in incredible pain. The Valium wore off. I was in pain again, and it was just like this never-ending nightmare of pain. No one believed me. I was in the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, and no one believed me. Which, like, my family were like berating the doctor. My mom, you guys have seen my mom. My mom was so mad, like because she was a nurse. Like she's a nurse and she knows this shit, so she's just like constantly just like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, something's wrong. Please, please, please. So it was like 4 a.m, and this nurse came in. And I called the nurse again because the Valium wore off, and I was just like, please, I'm in so much pain. Like, I was crying tears. I was begging. I had nothing left. I just wanted something, some reprieve, someone to believe me. And I was crying, and I remember I looked over to her, and I said to her, I don't want to die. Like, I think I'm gonna die. I think I'm dying. Like, this feels like I'm dying. And I remember, like, I was crying, and even this nurse was broken up about this. Like, this nurse was literally crying, and it's just because the doctors didn't want to give me anything else. And it wasn't until around morning, when the shifts changed and a new doctor came in, that the pharmacy realized that there was a mistake. The pharmacy said, like, a doctor actually checked the prescription itself with the pharmacy, and the pharmacy was like, oh, we dropped the anesthesia and the painkiller, because I think it was when they were going to get a new bag. Like, they were going to get a new bag.
Wouldn't you have checked that
medicine,
earlier?
and it was supposed to be changed out, and then they were like, oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. And so after that, it was an immediate shift in tone, like work ethic, everything changed after that. Just to put it in perspective of how drastically it changed, they skipped out, they completely forgot about the epidural, and they just went straight to giving me Dilaudid. Now, Dilaudid is also known as hydromorphone. It is a substance, a derivative of morphine that is 10 times stronger than morphine. And they gave me Dilaudid every hour on the hour to manage my pain.
Oh, God.
That is how much painkiller I needed, and that's how much painkiller I would have gone without. And it was better after that. It was better after that. Yeah, it was much better after that. Being on Dilaudid was very, very, very much better. And so it was from then on. It was like this weird fugue state of being like, I was just through hell for 24 hours. I was through hell, and I was in this weird moment where I realized that was rock bottom. Yeah, that was rock bottom for me. And so when I had that realization that was rock bottom, it was kind of freeing. I realized like I had been through pain, unbelievable pain that I'd never experienced before in my entire existence, and yet I was still there. And I was fine, and I was going to be fine. Like, I was through it and I was gonna be fine. And like, I know that a lot of people were like, you should have sued, or my mom, my friends, my family, they were like, you should have sued. Like, I could have, and I had every legitimate reason to do that, but even then, I was just like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to be the defining thing about my life. I don't want that to be my takeaway from it. I didn't want anger and revenge to be my takeaway from that pained experience. Like, it's not something that I wanted to blame anyone about. I didn't want to blame myself. I didn't want to blame any of the doctors. Like, I didn't want to place fault on it. That wasn't my priority. My priority was, after that, I had this like clear intention that I needed to do something with my life. I think
I know where this video is
make myself
going.
better. I needed to take control.
I think I know what the point of this video is.
I knew that life was always going to throw me curveballs and always going to knock
me down. Because I was a bit
down
confused
and
at
always
first
going to
as
put
to why
me
he
through
was
pain.
telling,
I probably
why
was
he
going
was
to be
saying all
more
this.
pain at some point
But
in my
I think
life
I get it.
that was even worse. And like, there have been many people that have been through worse pain than that. And I have to keep that in perspective to the goals that I have to try to improve myself. Because I only have control over my own life, and even that is up to debate. Like, it's something where I saw potential roads of where I could have been. I saw different paths that my life could have taken, and I saw different ways that I could have lived my life, and I chose the one that allowed me to feel proud of who I was as a person, that led me to the road where I could believe that I had some semblance of control of my own destiny. Like, forgetting the things that aren't in my control, not worrying about the things that happened in the past that knocked me down, and moving forward and always keeping my eyes on the horizon to know that I can improve myself until eventually I die. It was very freeing. Because I've been through pain before. I have. I've been through a lot of pain before. I like, as a kid, you guys probably know, I had a jumping off the top of the stairs contest with my brother, and I cracked my head open, my thick skull. I cracked my head open, and it split and bled so much that it filled like a whole bath towel with blood. My dad was like, "You're dying!" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I can't, feel woozy." Like, it was one of those situations. But I don't remember that being overly painful. I just got stitches, and I remember being in the doctor's office, and my dad told me about this. I put the like, they had this little like gown thing, but it had like a front bib, so I turned it around and I wore it as a cape, and I was just like, I'm a superhero. Like, it was just, I was 8 years old at the time, but I was on the doctor's table. I was like, I'm a superhero, Dad. And like, he really remembered that very fondly about me, and he was just like, man, he's pretty tough. And I was like, yeah, pretty tough. And so like, I don't take away anything negative about that experience, or I don't even remember me as a kid taking anything negative from that experience. And like, when I broke my arm later on, I was about maybe 13 or 12 at the time. Maybe I was a little younger, like 12 or 11. Let's say 11. I broke my arm. I was with my brother, and we were playing a how far out the monkey bars can you jump contest. And I was going to win, but I went out too far and I fell. And so I broke my arm, and I broke both bones
I've
in
heard
this
about
arm.
this story.
And it was like a stair step. Like, my arm went here, and then
Is
my
this
hand
when you tried
was
to
up
reconnect
here.
it?
So it was just this
And
weird
then he was
like
like,
thing.
"Don't do
So I
that."
remember getting up from the ground, and I don't remember being in a lot of pain. I remember it hurt. Obviously, I was like, something's wrong with my arm. And so I don't even know why I did it, but my first instinct was just to like, that's not right. I know what it's supposed to look like, so I'm gonna fix it. So I grabbed the broken bone and I set it back into place, and then it started hurting. That's when it started hurting. So I was like, oh, Thomas, it hurts real bad. It hurts real bad. So like, that's when it hurt. It was like that sickening pain where you feel like you're gonna vomit.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, that was the earliest moment in my life when I was like, that fucking hurt real bad. Apparently I did a good job, because after that, like, my dad took me to the hospital, and the doctor said, hey, you did a pretty good job. You almost got it perfect. You almost got it right. It's just a little off. Here, I'll fix that for you. And then he immediately broke my arm again to reset it back into place. And I went, why didn't I do it perfect? And that's why I'm a perfectionist. But I don't remember any negative takeaways about that. Like, I remember afterwards, I was, we went back home. It was when we were living in a very small place, a downsized from our childhood home. because my mom and dad got divorced and we had to move. Obviously, we couldn't like finance the house anymore, and so we moved into this small town home. It wasn't bad in any way, shape, or form, but I remember going there. It was one of the first times we were there. It was like within the first month or two, and I was in my bed and like. The doctor wrote us a prescription, but most pharmacies were closed. Like there wasn't really a 24-hour pharmacy in the area.
I apologise, I'm not saying
like,
too much.
I told my dad that I was like, I'm fine. You don't have to go.
I don't really want to interrupt what he's saying.
You don't have to get painkillers. My dad was like, "Are you sure?"
This might be a really boring video. I do apologise.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I closed the door and I went to bed. And I'm pretty sure I was probably crying in my bed because like it hurt, obviously. And I was crying in my bed, and then my dad just like opened up the door, and I was like, it must have been like 10 seconds from when he closed it. I closed the door on him because he was like, "Are you sure you don't want me to get painkillers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I want painkillers." Like, just like I remember very, very sadly going like, "Yeah, no, I want them." And just like, then my dad just went out and got like he drove like 40 some minutes away to a pharmacy, and I just remember the 2 hours until he got back. I was just like, "It's never gonna end. Agony, unbelievable agony. Like, oh, it's the worst thing." And they came back and like I think they gave me like I don't know like something like Vicodin or something like that. And it was just like, as a kid, I've never had anything like that before. So it was my first experience with painkillers, and I was like, okay, it's better now. Just like, I'm very sleepy. And then I just went to sleep. Like, I don't remember any negative takeaways from it. I don't remember any negative takeaways at all from it. I remember being frustrated because it was really hard to like sharpen my pencil with my arm like that because I can't turn the thing. I couldn't like get my books like out of the locker. But that kind of worked out well because some of my best friends in high school and school in general, they became my friends because they saw that I was having trouble with my broken arm, and they were like, "Let me help you with that." And it was like, oh, that's so nice. And then like I became friends with a lot of people. I think Drew Thiel was the first person that like really came up to me from that. And then I got into band because of that, and it was like, oh, that wasn't really so bad. I mean, even if it didn't lead to me gaining friends like that, like I don't think it would have been bad at all. I only got to this point because of the trials and tribulations that I've been through. And even through my college years, like up until the point where I had that surgery that I told you about, the tumor removal surgery, when that was in 2011, I believe. And before that, like I was still not sure who I was. Even after that, I wasn't sure who I was. Like I didn't really solidify myself as a person until maybe a couple years ago, like maybe a few years ago. Like it was hard, very hard. And honestly, pain was a big motivator for it. Pain was a big like resolution for it. Pain was a good way of encapsulating it, but only because of my attitude that I took away from the pain. There's and this doesn't apply to everybody, of course. There's certain pains that you can't just like, I'm gonna have a positive attitude about it. But it's not even like having a positive attitude about it. Like when it comes to pain, I wasn't happy that I had pain. Like when I burnt my hands, this was another point where I had a lot of pain. I was cooking chicken wings and I was heating up the pot with the oil in it, and I had my thermometer in there, and the thermometer broke, which was stupid because the thermometer was supposed to go up to like 800 degrees, so mercury got in the pot. So I'm like, fuck, I can't cook in this. Like mercury's in there, that'll kill me. So I stupidly put it in the sink, and I'm like, I was gonna dump it, and I'm like, oh, I can't dump this down the drains. That'll be horrible. It's so hot. So I'll cool it down first. So I stupidly elbow up the faucet, dump water straight into the 600-degree oil. It instantly flashes. The oil bubbles over, spills all over my hands, second and third degree burns all over my hands. You can't see the scars because I took real good care of it, but if it focuses right, come on, focus. Right there, you'll see just a little scar here and stuff like that. But I had second and third degree burns on my hands. So yeah, lesson to the wise: don't put water on grease. Don't put water in hot oil. But I was stupid. Wasn't thinking. Just doing.
Well, it's cold.
And so I remember.
Like ice cold,
I ran. I must have dropped it, fell, and screamed because my brother was coming up running the stairs, and he's like, "What happened?" And I remember like I was sprinting to the bathroom with my hands like in front of my face, and I was just like, "Ah!" And then he was up the stairs like, "What happened?" And I remember running past him like Doppler effect and everything, just like, "I burned my hands!" And then just like I was in the bathroom and I dunked my hands underwater, and it was so funny at first because I was just like the adrenaline was like, ah! And I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like, and then like I had my hands under the water and I was just like, oh man, Thomas, I'm so stupid. Like I put water in oil, and then the pain started coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
The adrenaline goes.
And then it was this weird like pulsating pain. It would come in like 5-second bursts, and my hands would cramp up for 5 seconds and then release for 5 seconds. It was very rhythmic and very weird. Like, and that's when the pain would happen. Like it hurt like overall, but then it would be like, and it would be like that cycle. And so my brother drove me to the hospital, and I was up at the emergency room waiting counter. I'm like, I'm in pain. I burnt my hands. And then they're like, please fill out this form. And I'm like, I can't write. I burnt my hands. And it's just like, please just go over, sit over there, burn the hands. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go stand outside because I want to walk around because I burnt my hands. It's just like I was in so much agony. Like there were huge boils on my hand. Like my hand was like out to here with just this big boil, and it's just like, and then finally some nurse like behind the in the triage unit. You know, the triage is like how they prioritize people, and the nurse is like, get the fuck back there! Like, get back there! And so, like, I go back to the emergency room, little rooms there, and they put me on a table, and then they make the stupid mistake of they put a blood pressure cuff on my arm, and that's bad when you have pain in your hand because the blood pressure cuff squeezes it, cuts off circulation, and forces blood down into the hand. So it was like, like, it hurts real bad. This hurts, and this hurts. My hands, the hands that are burnt, and I'm like, it hurts real bad. And so they basically, it wasn't until an actual doctor came in that the doctor's like, like just like saw this on my arm, saw me in pain, saw the boys, and was like, shit! I remember the panic on her face. I distinctly remember the panic because she's like, you know, she pulls the curtain back, you know, the emergency room was like, owie, my arm, or like, owie, oh, my stomach, or, you know, occasionally if someone actually has a problem, they're rushed in on a gurney, blood everywhere, and they're sprinting in. So usually when they pull back the curtain, it's not like a situation. So she pulls back the curtain and it's just like, whoa! It just like comes at me and it's like, oh shit! Because I had to be ambulanced over to another hospital because the emergency room I went to didn't have a burn ward. So I went to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital for the
was like my local hospital doesn't have an operating
it was just this
theatre.
fascinating experience where I'd never been in an ambulance before. I now had morphine, so I was fine, and so I was like, it's all
But then
good.
the other hospital
Like,
where
you know,
you go to doesn't
I
have
distinctly
a
remember,
CT
like even
scan or
that pain,
MRI
like that pain was
I think
pretty
it
up
does.
there. Like if
CT
anyone
scan
asked me on a
doesn't
1 to 10 scale, that was a 10 pain. Like that was, if anyone asked me at the time, that was a 10 pain. I didn't know that I was gonna have more pain down my life, but I was like, that was a 10 pain. But every pain up until that point, I would gladly say I would do that again. Like I don't care. Like I would do that again, not voluntarily, but if I had to. Like I know I could go through that again and I'd be fine. Like even there, because I remember what happened was my mom finally got off work and she came over to the hospital at the other hospital because I believe she was working as a nurse at the time, so she was nearby in the Cincinnati Children's Hospital, just in a different department. And so she came over and she was like, brought me McDonald's, and I remember like I couldn't exactly hold it well, but I could hold it with like my rested on my thumbs and hold them with my pinkies because I had bandages up all down my arm now. And I remember I was just watching TV and just munching on a burger, and I was like, this ain't so bad. I mean, really, like that was me. I was just not so bad. Beep boop, nurse, more morphine, please. It's just like, but what sucked after that was they sent me home. Obviously, I had to go home. It's not like I needed to rest in the hospital. They kept me 2 days there just in case. They sent me home. They sent me home with a big old batch of like a big tub of bacitracin, which is basically Neosporin, and every day I had to change out my bandages twice a day. And they said it was very important that I changed my bandages twice a day for the healing process, or else like it would be heavily scarred, disfigured, and stuff like that. And I was like, fuck that shit. I don't want disfigured hands, so I'm gonna do this every fucking day. So I did. And that hurt like a bitch because when you're healing from a burn wound, like it's very important to keep it like clean, moist, and well bandaged. So you know you don't want air getting in there. You don't want anything like that. So I would have to rip the bandages off because the bandages would cling to the newly formed skin. So every single day, twice a day, I would have to rip the skin off of my entire palm on both hands, like this entire section down to here. There was some burns up here. I would rip the bandage off and hope that the skin wouldn't rip with it, and it was like a 50-50 shot of whether it was or was not going to happen. So I'd rip it off, hurt like a motherfucker. I had painkillers, obviously, but, you know, it still hurt. I remember, like, 30 minutes before I had to do it, I would pop a painkiller and be like, and I would have to mentally psych myself up to get ready to do this.
And then go, okay, here we go.
And then I would put the bacitracin on. I would like make sure it's really well rubbed in there. I would put one layer of the topical bandage, and then I would put the gauze over that, and I had these big mummy hands. I have a picture somewhere of it, but I don't remember where it is. One of my friends probably has it. I don't know. It just never had any impact on me as a person and me as like a human being. It was another experience where I was like, that sucked, but I could do it again. Like I could easily do it again. And it wasn't until, you know, I had my tumor removed and I had pain beyond the threshold that I knew I could tolerate. It was pain that forced me into a mindset of desperation, of just sheer panic, of not knowing if I was going to even survive it. Like pain beyond pain for longer than I ever could have imagined myself tolerating. That I had this like realization that, you know, I am very temporary. I am unbelievably temporary. All of us are exceptionally temporary. We have very little control of the forces around us. We have less control than we think we do. And I could have used that mindset to like go into a pit of despair and realize futility, and I could easily see myself taking away futility from that and going through this experience and being like, what's the point? Like life is pain and stuff like that. But I didn't, like, because it completely disagreed with like what I wanted out of life. Like the temporary nature of life really was kind of freeing. It wasn't a bad thought. It wasn't negative at all. It was a good thought. I think it was a good thought, because if everything was temporary, then I only have a limited amount of time to make a difference in the world. I only have a limited amount of time to make a difference in myself. I only have so much time to be the person that I want to be. I only have so much time to do the things that I want to do. I only have so much time to exist. And like the only thing that will be there when I'm gone is what I've left behind. And I want to leave behind the best things that I possibly can. I want to leave behind a trail of people that are inspired by what I did. I want to leave behind the works that I've made. I want to leave behind the inspiration for other people to strive harder than they've ever striven before, and to go farther than they ever thought they could, because I didn't think I could go very far. You know, I thought I'd do well. I thought I'd be, like, okay, but it wasn't until that moment. The moment that I saw that things were in my control. Not everything.
Okay.
Not everything. Not everything can be in your control. Very little things can, but there were some
There are
things that
some
I could
things.
control.
Yeah.
There were things that I could learn, there were things that I could practice, there were things that I could do, things that were within my realm of possibility, my potential, the potential that, you know, others saw in me, you know, I never recognized. And it was in that moment that I saw the potential that I had in myself. You know, I recognized that, you know, people had said that I had a good voice for a while, and I was like, maybe I can do something with that, you know. My brother was an artist, and I was like, maybe there's some art potential in me. You know, my inspirations I draw from YouTube, I see that, and I'm like, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do that. And it's just like those simple ideas, that simple change of mindset. Even then, I didn't realize what it was, and I didn't realize where it was going to lead me. All I realized was that, like, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can, I don't know. Maybe I could just show myself that I have some potential, and then I can act upon it, and then I can change my life, and I can improve where I am. That's the entire song of my life, is just, I'm going to try. And I'm going to try, and I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail a lot. I'm going to fail a lot, but that's never going to stop me trying. No one's ever going to put me down, because
life.
No one's ever been through what I've been through. No one knows the pain that I've been through. And no one knows how far I'm willing to go to do what I want to do. Pain doesn't define you. It's how you respond to the pain that defines you. It's what you take away from that defines you. It's how you move forward in your life from pain that defines you, whether that's emotional or physical. I don't believe in the benefits of revenge. I don't believe that it leads to anything. I'm a big proponent of forgiveness, and which is odd because I'm a very spiteful person, but not excessively, like just about as much as anybody else. But it's just like pain, it's so easy to lay blame for pain. It's so easy to point fingers when pain happens. It's so easy to point fingers, especially at yourself. Like, you could point fingers at yourself for pain. And that's a self-destructive cycle. All of it is. Like, it's a self-destructive cycle. It will never get better if you're always seeking a release for anger. You know, if anger is your only release for pain, then anger is all that you'll have. It's like a muscle that you train. You'll only ever have more of what you put out from it. Like, you have more control over it than you think. There are some things that you don't have control over, obviously. Like, I'm not saying depression is just something that you can control. I would never say that. But there are, like, takeaways that you can bring out of it. You don't even have to be positive about it, because I sure as shit wasn't positive when I was coming out of those surgery. I was fucking angry. I was fucking pissed off. But I wasn't pissed off at any one person. I wasn't pissed off at life. I wasn't pissed off at, like, things. I was pissed off that I didn't take chances. I was pissed off that I'd gotten to this point without having done anything. I was pissed off because this could have been the end of me. That could have been the end of me. You know, I'm not saying don't come out of pain all smiling like, yes, and more, please. Like, don't do that. That's fucking stupid. Come out of it with a rationalization that you don't need to point fingers. Yeah. All you need to do is take the steps forward that push you to what you want. Never let anything be taken for granted. Don't let any moment get away from you. Don't let a single second get away from you. Because I was nothing. In my eyes,
this is where I kind of thought
I was just an average, like
starting to go.
Like, I had potential, didn't act upon it. I was the sob story of wasted potential. You know?
I have a lot to say
and a lot of people can relate to that in some way, but I was okay with that. And a lot of people can be okay with that, and that's fine. But if you just take a moment to try, and you take a moment to go just a little bit farther, like, absolutely anything's possible. Yeah, no one is ever nothing. I thought I was nothing. I'm not nothing.
Okay. I think... Oh boy, where do I start with this? Firstly, I apologise if I was pretty much not saying anything throughout that. It's not the type, I feel like this isn't the type of video for me to constantly talk over. And I didn't want to interrupt what he was saying, because what he was saying was actually quite important. And I kind of knew where it was going when he was talking about his hospital appointment and his hospital stay with the epidural and the mistake, and I could kind of see where it was going. It's interesting because I have kind of kept up a little bit with his vlogs and stuff. I know he wants to start doing some more personal vlogs, and I think that's going to be good for him, because I think it's going to keep his feet on the ground. I think with the stuff that he was filming with, like, Who Killed Markiplier and Markiplier TV and all that lot, and now he's starting to do some bigger projects, I think a couple of people mentioned this when they went to PAX recently as well, is like at his panel, apparently he looked very sort of distant and not quite there, and I think I don't want to assume things, and I don't want to jump to conclusions, because again, I don't really watch his channel, I don't know the full picture, but I feel like sort of YouTube pressure is probably getting to him a bit. And I think stuff like this and his vlogs where he's talking about his life and his experiences, I think that's actually quite good for him. Well, it reminds us as well, it's not just for him, it reminds us that he is human. This is why on Jacksepticeye's channel I like the personal vlogs that he does as well, because I'm not seeing them as entertainment. I'm seeing them as people. I'm seeing them as human, not as, just an image on the screen. I'm seeing them as people with experiences and thoughts and feelings. And I think these type of vlogs help that a lot. It's interesting as well that, I'm sorry I'm not talking much, I'm trying to think how to form my sentences. Because I have never been in the same type of pain that he has. Like he said with the tumour a few years ago. I vaguely remember that happening, but I think for me, I am walking disabled. I have a medical condition that affects my brain, and a couple of years ago I went into hospital for a brain operation, and it was something that had to happen. It was something that was inevitable. If I didn't have it that year, I would have had to have it at some point in my life. And when the operation was pretty easy, well, easy-ish. There's a couple of complications, but I won't go into that. But the end result was fine. But what happened when I was in recovery room was that I was told this later, because I remember the pain, but I don't remember too much else, is that they started putting morphine into me, and then they gave me too much, and my arm, so this one here, apparently started going red and started bubbling. So they had to flush it all out with saline solution. And then from what I remember, I don't think they gave me any more because they needed it to all flush out the system. But of course then, that was when I woke up. And physical pain, that is probably one of the worst I have ever felt. Because so in the operation, my scar was up here, just behind my ear, and there were 2 scars on my stomach. And from what I remember, I didn't get any painkillers for a while for that. And that was excruciating. The other pain that I've had was probably about 10 years ago now, when I got bitten by a dog. I don't know if you can see the scar. It's just a little bump there, just there. But I got bitten by a dog because my last dog got into a fight with it and I tried to break it up. One of the dogs got in the way, and it wasn't anything malicious. It was just the fact that these 2 dogs just didn't like each other, and they just got into a bit of a tumble. And I tried to break it up, and one of the dogs, I just got in the way, basically. That was literally what it was. I just got in the way and that was it. None of the dogs are to blame. They weren't malicious or anything. But I ended up with quite a bad injury, and I was in secondary school. So yeah, this is probably about 10, 12 years ago now. And I was in secondary school. And I remember I had to go back to school the next day. And I remember I had a sticky tape all across here because they were going to stitch it, but because of where it was too awkward. So I had a bandage across here. No, sorry, a sticky tape plaster thing across here, and then these 4 fingers bandaged up. And then I had to go to school the next day. Problem was that I'm right-handed, so I couldn't use my hand to write anything. But yeah, those 2 are probably the worst pain that I've been through. To be honest, I'm kind of going off on one as well, so I do apologise. This might be a really long video. But the way that I kind of deal with it is that I'm very easily accepting of things. If it's something that's inevitable, like the operation a couple of years ago, it's something that had to happen. I was like, okay, let's just get this over with. It was the recovery process afterwards. I think because I was at my final year of university during that time, and I was just about to start my final major project, and I had to go into hospital, and then I was off university for about 5 weeks. Somehow I managed to pass, but it did mean I had to put in like double the amount of work before I went into hospital. But it was one of those things that, you know, it had to happen. So I kind of think, okay, let's do this, because I personally don't, and everyone's different. Everyone's going to have different reactions and feeling towards these kind of situations, like inevitable situations. But for me personally, I don't feel the need to worry about something if it's inevitable. Like, if it has to happen anyway, I don't really see or feel the need to worry. And again, like, everyone's different. Like, everyone's going to react in different ways, and that's fine, because that's who you are. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to react to these situations in different ways. You know, that's fine. This is just how I react to things. In terms of, because Mark said that, you know, the pain helped motivate him, he used it as like a motivator. With me, it's a bit different, because these operations that I've had, they're part of my life, because I've had medical complications and I have a medical condition and I was born stupidly early. It's more the fact that it's not so much that these operations have been a motivator for me, it's more the fact that they've just been part of my life. And I don't really want people, because I know what the reaction is going to be, I don't want people to feel bad for me. This is just who I am. This is part of my history. I don't really know how to end this video, to be honest, because I don't want to do my normal outro, because I don't think that would be right. So I will say that I will put the original video in the description, the episode description. Thank you to Katili. Thank you to Katili Nom for asking me to react to this video. I think this is, I think it's important to watch this. And I do appreciate that you asked me to react to it, because I think it's good for me and for everyone to see this. So thank you. And I don't really know what the point of my, my ramble was at the end. It may be just going on my own experiences, but it's not to say, it's not a competition, it's not a contest. I'm not trying to compare myself and be like, oh, I'm better or I'm worse. No, that's not what I was trying to do. I was more just trying to say my own experiences and give my own opinion off from what Mark said. But thank you, Katili, for asking me to react to this video. I'm not going to do my normal outro. Like I said, I don't think it would be right for me to do my normal outro. So I will just say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all soon.